Hi, I'm Aubrey.
Hi, I'm Kathleen. We're two friends having a good time.
I happen to be a Christian, and that's okay.
And I happen to be an atheist, and that's okay.
Welcome to the Christian and the Atheist podcast.
Let's dive in.
Hey guys, have you left a review for our podcast yet? Head over to wherever you listen to your podcast and do that right now.
And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Christian and the Atheist, and TikTok at Christian and Atheist.
Did you know that the Christian and the Atheist podcast is on Patreon?
When you join our Patreon community, you can get ad-free episodes and access to video chat with us once a month for 10 minutes to talk about episode topics and more.
Head on over to patreon.com/Christian and Atheist to sign up now. Coming up on the Christian and the Atheist podcast. Fluids. Does it smell?
I'm trying to ask this in a way that doesn't sound like creepy, because I'm kind of creepy.
It's a way to kind of continue moving through the stages of grief instead of maybe getting stuck.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today we have a really amazing group of women, two women. I say group, but it's two women that I am so excited to have on
So
our show
excited.
today. Whatever time it is for you.
You got there.
Okay, so let me give you a little backstory of who is on our show before I even introduce you guys. So one day I was scrolling through TikTok, like all us millennials do, when we're bored. So I'm scrolling through, doing my thing. This, I guess you can call it afterlife care group showed up on my feed, and they were talking about turning a body into dirt. And now I know I'm probably botching this. You'll help me in a minute, but turning your body into dirt and then like planting a plant in your body. I know that sounds weird, but bear with me.
I think it sounds amazing. Like super fascinating.
It's so amazing. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Today, we are with Bree and Katie at Return to Home, or is it OR for Oregon, right?
No, it's Return Home NOR for Natural Organic Reduction.
NOR.
Which is the name of the process.
For natural organic reduction. Is that what you said? Okay.
That's amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
so welcome to the show, ladies.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
So
Yes.
we were just asking them questions. You're in Oregon, right?
Washington.
Washington.
Jeez, I don't know anything. Okay, Washington. So our friends are in Washington, and we were like, we're over Zoom, and I was like, do you mind telling us what your belief systems are? And Bree said she was a Christian, and then Katie said she was an atheist. And I about lost my mind.
Oh, wait, it gets weirder. Katie was once a Mormon. Hi, welcome to the club.
So, ladies,
Yeah.
can you guys give us a brief overrun on what is terramation, because that was brought up in the TikTok?
Yeah, so quite simply, terramation is the transformation of human remains into compost. So instead of traditional burial or cremation, we turn people's bodies into soil.
So, what made you want to do that?
Well, it's multifaceted. So there was some legislation that was passed in the state of Washington.
Okay.
Katie and I are both licensed funeral directors and embalmers.
Right.
And when legislation was passed, there wasn't a lot of guidance or information or science, quite frankly, that was accessible. And so we were put in a position of, as a professional, being required to offer this new means of disposition, but really having no information about how the process worked or who was going to provide that service.
Right.
Okay.
So that's in short, and that's why Micah, our CEO, decided to start Return Home, was because he saw the need for the science to be, incredibly airtight, and to make sure that this was something that could be offered in a meaningful and respectful way.
Of course. So why do you think people choose this type of burial, or I don't know if that's the right word, as opposed to traditional burial or cremation?
I think that's also kind of a multifaceted answer. There's the people that
want to do it because it's so much better for the planet. It uses about 1/8 the energy that a cremation uses.
Wow.
And the cremation uses that over a 4-hour period, and ours is a month period that uses that amount of energy. So it's significantly less.
Yeah.
Then there's the people that just cremation and traditional burial just doesn't speak to them. That's me. So this is why I would choose it.
I think too, it's something about, you know, you live your day-to-day life really consciously. And I don't know about you ladies, but as I've grown, I've developed better habits, and I'm being much more conscious of my waste than maybe my parents were. And so I'm living this life where I'm being very conscious of the decisions I make. And the conversation around death is a little bit taboo still, and it's not really open. So to be able to have that conversation is really empowering. And then for people to be able to make that decision that will be their final act on earth, one that is meaningful in the way of sustainability and mindful in that way, really appeals to what we're finding is a bit of a younger generation. So millennials and even some Gen Xers, I would say, are you know, really thinking that way.
I think, the like life of our planet is clearly like in a place where we need to be paying attention to how we're doing things. So this is definitely a greener way of doing things, of end of life kind of care. And the last thing I want to do is leave the earth and be like, you know, let me take up some space in the ground with a box, you know? So that was one of the main reasons that I chose cremation, because I didn't know of any other sources.
Yeah.
How do people from Oklahoma get this service? Can you answer that kind of a question?
So
is that it?
My family is very like kind of hippie-ish. My mom and dad, this is something my mom has talked about before, not even really knowing that this was necessarily offered. But she has talked about how she would love to be turned into a tree and planted, and then her grandchildren can sit under that tree, and you know, and that idea. And so I was talking about that, and I was like, if say my mom who lives in Oklahoma or somebody from Oklahoma, is that something that your services, does that reach outside of Washington?
Yes, that will reach nationwide and Canada.
Wow.
So far. We basically will contract with a funeral home local to wherever the person is, and they will then either use ground or air transportation to get them to us, and then they will be terramated here at our facility.
Very cool.
That's crazy.
Awesome.
I love it.
And my original thought was, you know, if we're being so sustainable and green friendly, do I really want to fly someone here?
Right.
That flight's going to happen whether your body is on it or not.
Yeah.
So you're not adding any more.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
We would like to ultimately expand though, so that we could be able to serve, you know, maybe just regionally at first, but different areas of the, you know, of the country. So
did you say y'all both were funeral directors?
We still are.
Cool.
And embalmers.
Yep.
Why did y'all want to do that?
Oh Lord.
Originally, what kind of forced me into the business is I went to my grandpa's funeral and it was pretty bad.
Oh no.
Okay.
So I figured I could probably do better. And I did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you ever? Just from what I'm seeing. Sorry, because I'm like, I went to a really bad funeral and it was bad. And we could probably like cry over these things.
Oh,
so it's like, I never thought of it that way. It's like whenever you hear people be like, why do you want to be a doctor? It's because I wanted to help someone that I loved and I couldn't at that time. So that's really beautiful. I appreciate that. What about you, Bree? What made you want to be a funeral director?
Well, my whole family was in law enforcement, so that was something that exposed me to kind of I would just say a different side of life than you know, an average job. And then my mom was a cosmetologist. So when my dad was beating the streets at night, my mom would take me with her to the local funeral home to do hair and makeup.
Oh, wow.
And so I got to cosmetize people, or at least, you know, help my mom cosmetize people starting at like 6 years old.
Wow. That's fascinating. I'm a cosmetologist.
That's awesome.
I don't do funeral stuff. I thought about it briefly, but I've never.
I love doing a full glam
Oh,
funeral. It's so fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, that is something that both of us are not doing as much anymore. We're still
Right.
preparing people. We bathe everybody who comes into the facility, but now neither of us are going to be using our skills in embalming because
Right.
that's something that can't be done.
Right.
Is it green, like planet friendly being embalmed, or the embalming process?
I would say embalming, as far as like a traditional burial, is not nearly as much of a problem as the casket and the liner surrounding,
Right.
the
Okay.
cement, the rebar, the metal.
Mm.
Actually, formaldehyde turns into a protein when it enters the human body.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you do place someone in the ground who's embalmed, the embalming fluid's not even the biggest concern. Really, it's the heavy metals that are in people's body that
Okay.
would be the concern. So yeah, I mean, I have absolutely no problem with embalming. I think it's an art, quite frankly, because being able to put someone together again is a skill that we work really hard to
For
hone
sure.
in on.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I like embalming. I don't know about you though.
Yeah.
I agree, it has its place, but also to go to Bree's point about trying to live a little more sustainably, it was a little bit of a disconnect for me to be trying to live this way at home and then to go to work and put people in, solid bronze caskets and vaults in the ground and embalming as part of that. It was a disconnect that I no longer have to deal with. So
Yeah.
it's kind of nice.
So
And we still give everybody who comes in a bath. So we're like interacting with the person still, which is
Yes.
an important part of the job, I think, for us.
I
Yeah.
agree.
And bathing someone in that mindset is entirely more intimate than embalming someone.
Yeah.
It's a much more personal level of care, it feels like to me.
So how does the whole process work? So someone is either flown or ground transportation to your facility, and then what?
So we are a fully licensed funeral home, so we can do all the death certificate preparations and the permit preparations. We meet with the family and have all of the authorization signed and kind of walk them through the process. When the process starts here, it's 2 phases. Phase 1 is where the body does the magic and turns into soil. That is, the body is placed into a 8-foot by 3.5-foot vessel with approximately 4 pounds of organic material for every pound of body weight.
Okay.
And that organic material is sawdust, straw, and alfalfa.
Oh.
So we lay a bed of that down in the bottom of the vessel, then we place the person on top of that, and then we place the rest of the organics on top of the person. And then that vessel is sent to our front of house area where it will sit for 30 days, and the body will do its thing.
I have a question about phase 1. The body's sitting for like 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Fluids, is that where the like sawdust, the materials gathering that? So do y'all have like a warehouse where there's these vessels with people's bodies that are going through the process? Does it smell?
That's like our number one question, and we love it because no, it doesn't smell at all.
That's great.
We have an incredible HVAC system that we call Octopus because she has 74 arms.
Wow.
Individual vessel that we have. So we have 74 vessels, which means we can take care of 74 families a month.
Okay.
Each vessel is hooked up to that HVAC system, and that gets rid of any potential odor.
Wow.
It's connected to a biofilter that actually eats up the odorous material before it goes through a carbon filter for a final filtration. So if you stand outside our facility, right beneath the output area, you don't even smell
Oh, that's
anything.
nice.
That's
I bet your
amazing.
neighbors are happy about that.
Yeah.
So
My favorite thing to show people, because you can like stand under the air output and it like blows your hair like
Yeah.
movie hair, and you're like, it doesn't smell, but that's air coming out of those vessels.
Yeah.
Wow, that is fascinating.
Yeah.
So if you didn't have that, it probably would though.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, because what we're doing is we're
Right.
increasing the body's decomposition essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, phase 2.
So after phase 1, we screen, which means that the body has completely transformed into soil, but the bone remains, and then any inorganics. So, hip implants and stents and things.
Okay.
So what we do is we have a screening room where we separate inorganics in the bone. We break the bone down, which is the industry standard with cremation right now. So we do the similar process where we break the bone down, but then we reincorporate it with the soil.
Okay.
mix it all together. And then the second phase is actually just another 30 days of the person essentially curing. So they're releasing a little bit of CO2, but I mean, they're not hooked up to anything. They're in our warehouse here. Their temperature is dropping, and then the moisture content is also starting to drop, so that by the end of that second 30 days, they're able to be placed in whatever packaging the family's chosen and returned to them.
Okay.
Neat.
How, I'm trying to ask this in a way that doesn't sound like creepy. Because I'm kind of creepy. But how big is the end package? Say, you know, as phase 2 finishes up and you're returning their loved one to them, how big is that?
It's about 500 pounds of compost.
Wow.
A cube
Or 10 to 12 of our burlap bags that we package
Okay.
the compost in. So it's a decent amount, but
Wow.
I just am imagining
It sounds
my
like
family
a lot.
coming to my house, like pick me up and like, bring the truck.
It sounds like a lot, but it also, you know, if you go to buy compost or soil or whatever, it's a good amount too. So, okay.
I mean, yeah.
I have a
So,
Kia Soul and I can fit all of the bags into my Kia Soul. So
Okay.
oh, yeah, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
If the family can't take that full amount, because we're really an urban option
Right.
for a lot of people, you know, they live in the middle of Seattle, they don't
Right.
have land. If that's the case, we are a couple of things. We own a parcel of land that's in a green belt just north of our facility in Auburn, Washington. So we have designated it as an area of scattering because it was in desperate need of cleaning and revitalization. So we cleaned out the property. We are now going to be scattering people there if the family can't take the full amount. And then we're also looking at working with like working forests in Washington state, which are areas where they will clear cut, but then let the trees grow back in, and then conservation areas along the Chinook River. So we're working with a couple of different entities right now to try to get established other ways that people can be returned to the earth.
Okay.
Ultimately.
Do you have to have, like for your green belt that you have, do you have to have certain like zoning or certification or anything that?
Usually it's the property owner, so it's a private property owner, and if they authorize it, it's just the same as scattering cremated remains.
Okay.
So you just have to have the property owner's permission, but it does vary state by state.
Sure.
So I don't know about Oklahoma specifically.
That's okay. What are other non-traditional end-of-life care processes that you've heard of that other people might be interested in?
We've started working a little bit with the death doula community, which are a group of people who would come in if somebody is maybe imminent, or they just need to get a little bit more comfortable with the idea of death itself, because
Yeah.
not everybody is comfortable with the conversation.
Yeah.
So we've been working with doulas. We also are, of course, know about alkaline hydrolysis, which is water cremation, where people can be essentially it's a solution, and that you get a similar remaining product of cremated remains. It's just really, really pure. So that exists.
So wait, okay. So you would end up with,
Have you seen an iron lung?
yes.
It looks like an iron lung,
Okay.
and a person is placed on a kind of a rack and placed in there, and with water and then essentially a solution, alkali.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you are processed that way instead and end up with really white, clean bone at the end.
Okay.
So it's like not flame cremation, but essentially water cremation.
Okay, interesting. I've never heard of that.
What do you do with the bones after?
I mean, it's for
Same
the
thing as you
family.
would
The family
with an urn.
is.
Okay. I'm sorry. This is fascinating, and I I'm inappropriately laugh. So, okay. Anything else?
It's not inappropriate.
I know, but like, so, okay. So my sister died, and that was awful. And death can be awful and traumatic. And it was like my grandpa died, and we were like, okay, well, he was old. And it's different when it's a younger person. She was 30. But like, we went to her funeral. She was cremated, but my family demanded like an open casket style funeral. And they were like, fine. her husband was. And so they did it. And she played Harry Potter music while people were viewing her body. So it's this dramatic wizard music. And I am hysterically laughing while people are saying goodbye to my sister.
I love that so much.
And I was like, no one should allow me to go to things like this. Because I don't not laugh at things. And it's like, I have to apologize often when I laugh because it's like, I laugh at things and it may not be funny. So anyway, so that's where I was like, what? So, okay, so the cremation with water, the alkaline water, is there other types of non-traditional that you have on your list?
So for disposition methods, that's kind of where it ends. As far as services go, our aim of the game is to slow down the process. Our process is 60 days total. So we want people to be able to take that time to grieve properly and not have to grieve on our schedule. Right?
Yeah.
At a traditional funeral home, it's like cremation's done, here's your urn, thank you. We'll send you a card in there.
It's you go and pick up the urn. It's so weird.
That's just kind of a necessity of the business is you have to serve families quickly in order to serve them.
Right.
And with us, we're just slowing it down. We're allowing family to be involved in as much as they want to be involved in. If they want to bring their person to us, let's figure out a way to do it. If they want to have their person at home for a period of time, call us. We'll bring ice. Let's figure this out together. If you want to come here and bathe your person with us, let's do it. We also offer what we call a laying in, which is kind of a short viewing for a family, and they can put things in the vessel. If you can eat it, you can put it in. I had a family the other day pour in a bottle of champagne.
Aw.
They took the bottle with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do that for me.
I will.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful. I love that you have, I feel like a lot of times, I've heard, criticism of the funeral home industry, how it can sometimes feel very cold and detached.
It is. It's troubling.
And so I love that you guys are very, aware of and mindful of the families and the process and the grief and the fact that you're trying to keep it as beautiful and as personable as possible is really lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm part of our family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Sweet. Having gone through this stuff, like when I was talking about my sister, I was in a process of any of it. And it's okay, but I feel like whenever she died, I really had to come to terms with death in a way that I hadn't before because she was close to me. It's my sister. It's kind of like, okay, well, now we have to figure out how to wrap my brain around this. And I feel like almost like the food industry where we have kind of not gone out and hunted our food or processed our own food. We're not really processing our loved ones' bodies when they die. Someone takes it away and you're like, well, that's that. And then you go to a funeral. You don't mess with the body ever again except for to say goodbye in a casket. Or, I don't know. I'm sure there's other ways that people do it. Right. I just feel like, I know this is I feel like it's morbid to think about. I'm sure it's not for you guys. So say my mom died. I would want to be a part of the process of cleaning her body, dressing her, because that's what I thought. I was like, because I heard someone on TV say they went and helped dress their mother. And I was like, you touched your dead mother's body? That sounds crazy. And then I was like, no, it's actually respectful and like loving and kind of a way to say goodbye. And I was like, I want to like fix my brain into not being so taboo against touching a dead body of my loved one that I'm saying goodbye to. So
we encourage that type of behavior. Definitely. That's something that's not traditionally offered.
Right.
I've never worked at a funeral home where you could just willy-nilly walk into the prep room where the bathing might take place. So, in certain religions, sometimes it's a ritual, which that's something all its own, but everybody should have the opportunity to spend an intimate moment with their loved one in a calm place that's got your favorite music playing, and we've got essential oils and it smells so good, and you're taking time to wash their little hairs, and then sometimes we'll like a lock of hair. And
Oh.
we've just done 2 in the last couple of days, which is why it feels so intense right now. But you see it on people that it's a way to kind of process and continue moving through the stages of grief instead of maybe getting stuck in a place where they're ripped away and then you don't see them again. You know,
Yeah.
that
Oh yeah. I was, if not still, stuck in a place
Yeah.
where I'm like I feel like shocked. It's just weird to not have that final goodbye. My final goodbye was with other people around that were not my family or friends and family that like I hadn't seen in 10, 15 years. And here they are at my sister's funeral. And you're like, okay, so now I have to say goodbye to my sister with everybody around me.
And
Okay.
you don't know what you don't know, right? It's not the general
Exactly.
public's responsibility to ask. It's our responsibility to tell them they can't.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's so good. Like, I thought one other example of this is whenever I was pregnant, I thought you went to the hospital and you got an epidural and you had a baby. I did that and I was like, this didn't work for me. So then I like researched different ways to have a baby and I had a baby naturally and found a way that it was way better for me. And so I feel like this is kind of like the opposite end of that, where there's not just you die, you go in a box and you put it in the ground and
Okay, one of the questions we thought of as we've been talking about this is, so families take home these bags of dirt, essentially. What do people do with that dirt?
their loved one's dirt.
Yeah, what do they do?
Pretty much whatever they want.
What have you heard that they've done?
We've had a family that had a tree planted at our university arboretum.
Okay.
And they had some of the soil there. We have a family that gave out individual amounts to people at a memorial service so they could put it on a house plant or, you know, something in their yard. Another family has created a specific little memorial garden in their yard.
Oh, I love that.
So,
I love that so much. I can't even tell you. I'm sure you know. I've told you plenty of times, but okay.
Ultimately, it is the only thing that exists right now that continues the cycle of life.
Yeah.
Like-
So regardless what the family is doing, if it's, you know, house plants, if they have a bunch of acreage or they're just taking a little amount, what they're doing is they're creating new life.
Exactly.
And we've used compost because we did our testing on pigs. And so we've had pig compost here and the plants that have received it have exploded. I mean, it is very nutrient dense, beautiful compost because our bodies were made to turn back into earth.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what's intended for us.
Yes.
So you see that happen. And then, yeah, when you give it back, all the different things you can do, but no matter what, you're continuing the life cycle.
Right,
And that's
yeah.
super, for us at least.
Yeah.
It is. How many people have you processed?
Is that the right word?
Pyramided. There we go.
Teramated.
26.
Okay.
We opened at the very last week of June and
2021?
yeah,
Okay.
Oh, wow.
we're still kind of a little baby company, but
I love it.
we want people to know we're out there because
Yeah.
Oh,
we
yeah.
think more people might choose it, but they just don't even know like it exists.
Yeah, I had
you
no
know? A lot of
idea. I've heard of things like this, but it was never like, this is a company that offers this service. It was just like, I've heard that you can do X, Y, and Z. You know, and so the idea that I can go forward with this knowledge for my own life, for my family's lives, for people I may know, and the fact that you guys do offer services not just to Washington State, but to throughout the country and to Canada, you know, it's great.
Are we allowed to ask how much it costs?
Yeah.
$4,950 all inclusive.
What?
Say it again.
$4,950.
Sorry.
So good.
I was like, is that a lot?
I mean, yeah.
No, it's a lot, yes, but
it's-
not for a funeral
Nope.
situation. Like, I mean,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. And
Okay.
families can't, I don't know who has that amount of cash just laying around in this day and age. I don't think anybody does, really. Unless you're like-
thousands and thousands and thousands.
Yeah.
I
It
worked
can-
at a cemetery where one of the spaces that you could purchase was $20,000.
yeah.
And it was because the view, you know, if you get a lesser space in a lower area that has no view, it's $2,500. But if you want that view,
Right, because
you're gonna pay for it.
while you're
But-
underground, you're definitely paying attention to the view.
It's all about the people visiting, probably.
I guess.
But come on, you can visit the top of the hill after you see me.
I just
Not that I'm doing this, by the way. I'm not going to be in the ground like that. Okay. A last question that I love to ask all our guests is, where do you think we go when we die?
both of you.
Which
I've answered this question as an atheist.
I believe that it's lights out and I'm done.
Me too. And I find
I
it,
think that's exactly how you said it. Like,
Yeah.
we're done. We're dead.
I actually, it's maybe, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I find that idea oddly comforting. That it's almost a beautiful feeling that I get to, there's an end date and it's done and it's over and I don't have, I don't know how to explain it very well. I've tried a million times and she cannot grasp.
Nope.
And that's okay.
And it's okay. I'm not judging. I grew up in religion and Christianity, and we're living for eternity. And I'm like,
That
how
sounds
do you-
exhausting.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The thought of living for eternity, I'm like, also, like, for me, it allows me to feel like I live today for the people
Yes.
that are around me, not for what I'm going to be rewarded with after I die.
Yes, exactly. I'm focusing on the here and now and what I can do for my family and my friends and my community as of right this second, and not what I will fix someday later.
it's good.
Yeah.
What about you, Bree?
I definitely, I'm a Christian. I believe in heaven and hell, and I believe in demons and the whole thing. What I will say is that I believe in the judgment taking place as something that's separate from our acts of service and things like that. I really don't believe good works get you to heaven. I believe that I try really hard to be the best person I can, but I love everybody. I really do sincerely cannot help it. And that's how I roll. And I also feel like life has kind of put me in this place where God's preparing me to be a warrior for his army someday, so that we can maybe take back a little bit of what has become less of an ideal world. I feel like evil exists,
Yeah.
Yes.
and evil is not something I like. And I like fighting evil right now. So I know
Yeah.
I'll like to in the afterlife. So.
Yeah. There you go.
I loved both of those.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not like, ew, on either one. I think they're great. That's great. I feel so validated having two other Christian and atheists, like, just having that conversation. Like, we're both equally represented, and, like, everybody's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Feels good. We actually had a good laugh about it last night. We were going to drop the bomb on you during the interview.
Dang it.
But
Why
you
did we
caught
ask?
us ahead of time. But we were like, yeah, that last question, I'm going to be like, I'm a Christian. She's going to be like, I'm an atheist.
Dang it, we shouldn't have asked.
I know. I
Would've been
needed to
gold.
know. I needed to know. I was like, I just need to know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we
Having us,
appreciate.
you guys.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. We thank
been
you for
great.
your time. This was really special, and I don't know, it just feels good to have a better understanding
Yeah.
of this kind of thing. So, I appreciate both of you.
So before we get off, where can people find you if they want to know more? If they want to contact you, if they want to go on this path with you, how do they get a hold of you?
Our email is info@returnhome.com.
Okay.
And you can find us on pretty much every social media at returnhomenor.
Okay.
info@returnhomewhat.com.
.com.
You got it.
You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job.
That was so ridiculous.
And we do love getting hit up on, social medias and TikTok
You're-
specifically, because
Okay.
it's fun to be able to know what people want to know more about.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we're immersed in a whole new environment. Everything that we're doing every single day is different and new.
Right.
But we don't know what's grabbing people's attention. So we love, suggestions and things you want to know about.
Well, your
Awesome.
TikTok got us here. That's for sure. I was like, what?
So that's Return Home NOR on TikTok and Instagram and wherever. Awesome.
And
And y'all should send us Send us your address so we can send you some t-shirts.
Yeah, we'll send you swag.
I will wear it like crazy. That's amazing.
Done. And you know I'm going to.
Yes, I'm so excited.
So excited.
So excited.
So excited. I'm going to knock all my shit over.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you guys again.
Yes.
And do you guys have anything you want to add to this, maybe?
Any questions, any comments?
Just know that the final act on earth that you're going to make can be one that's informed, and you can feel empowered in your decisions, and whatever that looks like, you should do that.
Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
This made me so happy.
I love it.
Good.
I'm thrilled.
Good job, guys. Keep up the good work.
Yes.
All right.
I am thrilled.
Guys, go find them on social media and go and watch the TikTok I was talking about. It's a thing.
It's beautiful.
All right. Bye.